at this point, the response to Logan Paul's trip to Japan and the suicide forest is so irrational, so completely lacking in any sense or critical thinking, so totally just out of proportion to anything. I wouldn't even say out of proportion. It's not that the reaction is an overreaction. It's like these people don't even know what they're talking about when they criticize him. It's like they have no idea what they're saying. You know, the word of the year last year for whatever dictionary.com or Merriam-Webster should have been sanctimony. That should have been the word of the year for 2017. Sanctimony. Look it up if you don't know what it means. It means basically acting like you're outraged, even if you're not really. And I think that that's what a lot of people do every day. It's like people's hobby is acting like you're outraged over something without maybe even really knowing enough of the details to justify having any kind of opinion on it, much less such a strong opinion that you go and voice online. And you've got just the world coming crashing down onto this kid, Logan Paul, for what? Listen, this is what you guys are saying, basically. Something crazy happened to him. Now, you can say, well, he went out and looked for something crazy. And that's kind of true. He did go to a place where he knew that this is where people commit suicide and they find a lot of bodies in this forest every year. So he did kind of know what he was getting himself into, but he still wasn't expecting to actually find somebody's dead body who had recently committed suicide. And he did. And it's like, you're telling me that okay, it's fine that he went out and was going to make this video, but then once he found the body, he's supposed to just not share it with anybody and not make the video, turn the cameras off and call the police once you find the body. It's not all fun and games anymore. It's too real. And you're saying basically he's not allowed to share an experience he had or tell anybody about something that happened to him. It's like you're telling him, you keep that shit to yourself. But that's not right. He has a right to tell people about something that happened to him. He has a right to share with people something he experienced. Everyone's getting all upset because he went out with his friends and some cameras to this forest and brought a ball to kick around in the forest. And then people are saying, he's being disrespectful. He's being such a I don't know. I don't even know what this is. I'll tell you, I do know what it is. I have it figured out because it's obvious. It's just people hating. It's just people hating on a successful young man who is, when you watch his videos, he just has so much joy. He's just so alive and has so much joy. And why shouldn't he? He's done so well in life, so young already. Who wouldn't be super happy every day of their life to be as successful as he's been so far? And he's only like 21 years old or something, 20 years old. He's such a young guy, and he's already, he's on top of the world. And that's just easy, I think, for people to hate on instead of just, I don't know, maybe watch and enjoy seeing someone having a great life and doing well for themselves. He's worked really hard for it, but people just want to hate on him. And it's like, if people have the right to go into this forest and kill themselves, not only they have the right to go into it and kill themselves, but you feel like they have some kind of like immunity from anybody else even going into that for. It's like, it's like you're saying They get to call dibs on this forest and say, you're only allowed to come here if you're going to commit suicide here. No playing ball out in this forest. This is our place to kill ourselves, and no one else gets to have this forest for any other purpose. And I think if anybody has the right to go out there and hang themselves, I think that anybody has the right to go out there and throw a football around with their friends. I don't think that he has any less a right to throw a football around with his friends there than anybody else has to do anything else there, certainly kill themselves. I mean, the world belongs to the living. Okay? The world belongs to the living. And frankly, it belongs to the young. And it belongs to the people who are pushing and striving and full of joy and overall goodwill and beneficence. And I think that Logan Paul clearly embodies all of that. When you watch any of his videos, he's just, the world belongs to people like him, I've got to say. And I think people just hate that about him. Just that he's just a young, wealthy dude. He's already prospering. I don't know why the young can't prosper. You know, why can't the young prosper? People hate that, I think. I think older people, especially in their late 30s, 40s, who are never going to be on top of the world the way Logan Paul is, I think they just hate it, man. At least when you're young and you don't have any money because you're young, you can say, well, I'm still young, so I've got time left to make my money. Or you can say, well, I'm young and maybe I won't make any money in life, but hey, I'm young and I can enjoy that. And old people aren't young anymore, but a lot of them have their money. And that's nice. You trade in your youth for resources. You trade in your life. You work hard. You build something up. And by the time you're older, you may not be young anymore, but you have a lot of money. And that's a good thing too. But sometimes you got someone young and prosperous. And what a great combination that must be. That is, must be nice. And I can look at that and just say, that is nice. Without being jealous and just hating him. And I think that's what a lot of it is. I think he's just easy to hate for people who are kind of just envious. Just a young, happy guy, prospering, enjoying his life, taking a vacation to Japan with his friends, and throwing a football around in a cool, freaky, haunted forest where people kill themselves. What an exciting life this guy has. And he's telling you about it, you know? It's like, that's the thing, is people saying he's disrespecting this forest, but I bet you more people know about this forest now than ever before by, orders of magnitude. I've never heard of this. But there's a lot of people reading up on it. So if this is like a movement or something, he's drawing attention to it. He's making people aware of it. And I don't know if that's the worry, is that, well, by making people aware that there's like a movement of people committing suicide, maybe some people that are close to the edge will feel emboldened by that to join the movement and go ahead and take their own lives as well. But I don't know, man. I think we should all be allowed to talk about anything. I'm kind of a big First Amendment guy. I don't know if you might know that about me or not, but I believe in liberty and I believe in free speech. And I think that the more we talk about anything, and I don't just mean free speech to be critical of the government, which is extremely important to protect that, because, you know, obviously if you can't criticize the government, they're just gonna abuse the hell out of that. But I think that just anything that's supposed to be off limits as a topic to discuss, that's what I want to talk about. Anything that's off limits, I think we should talk about it more. So if that's suicide, Lots of sex issues, lots of sexuality, especially like about half of America is extremely puritanical in its sexual mores and has some kind of, I don't know, like inability to have any kind of frank discussion about sex without getting all weird and uncomfortable. It's like, guys, we have to move past that and be willing and able to feel safe and comfortable to talk about anything. I mean, why shouldn't you be able to talk about anything? And who knows, maybe by drawing attention to this, he'll save lives. Maybe if we all talk about suicide more openly, maybe that'll save some people's lives. Or who knows, maybe the people that want to commit suicide and they hear about, well, there's a whole bunch of other people doing it and they're all going to this forest to do it, and it's like a movement, and they feel like they maybe want to join it. Like, I don't know, maybe they should. You can't decide for them whether they have to keep existing or not. It's their life. You don't know what they've been through and what they're going through. You can't make that choice for them. You actually just can't, but you shouldn't be able to. You know, maybe he's, I don't know, man. Seems kind of strange to say as I say it out loud, but it makes perfect sense to me that everybody should be in charge of their own life. And nobody should be forced to keep living if they don't want to, I guess. It's their life. So, you know, either way, talking about it, I don't think hurts anything. I don't think talking about anything hurts it or hurts anybody. I think talking is usually, I don't know, I guess there are things you can say that I would push back against and argue back against, but you know what? I'm able to do that. You say something, I'll say something back. I'll tell you what I think about what you said. It's called dialogue. It's kind of important. It's kind of important. Suicide is a tough issue. It's a very serious and tragic thing. I think it's tragic. But again, maybe someone doesn't. Maybe someone thinks their life is tragic, too tragic and unbearable. And I don't know. I can't make that choice for someone else. I wouldn't try to make that choice for someone else. I would, if I saw somebody in the act of trying to commit suicide, I think I would. I actually think I would try to stop them. I wouldn't go out of my way to I wouldn't just camp out in that forest waiting for someone and like make that my hobby, is to like save peace, to like stop people who are about to commit suicide. And wait, think it out. But if I happened upon someone in the act or about to commit suicide, I think I would stop them. I think, especially if I just can't imagine, because if it were in like a workplace or if it was like a family member or something, then I would feel like I know them well enough that I have some kind of legitimate prerogative to intercede in that moment. And even though that may be something they want to do, I feel like I would know like a family member or like a friend who is a coworker or something at work, any place I frequent, I would feel like I maybe have kind of a legitimate, like I know them at least well enough that I would put my arm in front of them and block them from jumping off. And I'd say, whoa, wait. And give them, because they can always just go ahead and do it next week. But if they do it now, then they can't take that back, right? So it's always good, I think, such a grave matter to deliberate. Certainly such a grave and irrevocable choice, maybe more deliberation. And if I were in public somewhere and caught someone in the act, I would just feel like, even though I don't know you, I would feel like, well, by you doing this in a place that I was able to just bump into you doing this in public, now you've kind of made it my business. Now it'll be on my conscience if I don't stop you because you've I don't know, maybe you are crying for help by doing this in a public place and seeing if anybody cares. I don't know, just certainly you can always do it next week at least, and if you do it now, you can't take it back next week. It'll be done. And now I've bumped into you in public somewhere where you chose to do this, so now you've made it my business, and you've given me a chance to maybe save your life. Not just a chance to, but you've given me, I feel, almost an obligation to do something about it now, and then, then next week I guess I can't stop you. So if you're I just can't do it. I can't just I'm not going to befriend a stranger and watch them the rest of their lives to keep them from committing suicide. But if I just bumped into somebody, then in the act, I would stop them. I would feel like I have enough of a right to. It's a tough issue. It's a tough thing. But I don't think there's anything wrong talking about it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with some kids throwing a football around anywhere, especially in a public park. People are just upset at this kid for throwing a football around. I applaud him. Good for you. Go play. Have some fun. Go to a place where people are killing themselves and play there. Whose view of life do I agree with more? I agree with the kids that are throwing a football. There's some other people there killing themselves. Well, here's some people playing football. Whose view of life do I believe in? I'm with the living. I'm for the living. I'm for the young and prosperous, or at least the young and joyous. I'm for the young and the joyous. I believe that the world belongs to the living, not those who are leaving the world behind. And that is with all the full sympathy of the fact that I can't possibly understand how desperate they must be that they're willing to do something so final. That's with the full understanding and just extension of just all the warmth and sadness for anybody who's going through that. In the end, I'm for the guy that wants to keep going and keep living and keep playing, who's going to stick around for another round of this game called life. I'm on that guy's side, and if he can get that message out in any way, especially to such a sad place, I don't think. Look, if he's being disruptive to a suicide cult, I would say be disruptive. I'd say go ahead and disrupt it. Bring a football and throw it around and laugh. People are mad at a kid for laughing with his friends. It's like you can't laugh with your friends in a forest. This is for people to kill themselves. This forest is only for people who've given up on life. No one else is allowed to have this place or even be here. Fuck that. Fuck that, guys. You're just hating on him. You are just hating. And I feel like everyone's trying to say, let's just have compassion and all this and understanding or whatever, respect. Let's have some respect. Let's have some respect for these people. And it's like, where's your sense of humanity towards Logan Paul? Like, you can't extend a little bit of that same human generosity towards Logan Paul? Like, think of the pressure he's probably under right now. Think of just how, he's watched his apology video, man. Yo, got in his head. I feel terrible watching it. I feel so sad. Y'all hit him hard, man. It's either y'all got in his head or his PR guy told him what to do. All right, here you go. Sitting on the other side of the camera, holding up flashcards for him to read off of, cue cards. I think it was a mistake to apologize because I don't think he did anything wrong. I don't think he has anything to feel sorry for. Doing a little bit of journalism, going out into the world and showing us something that's happening and telling us about it, and turning out to have a real story to tell us about too. I don't think he did anything wrong. And everybody is just, dude, the world crashing it down on this guy. It must feel pretty bad for him right now. He must be, you think of like when that Coney guy, you guys remember Coney 2012? That Coney guy made that video, that documentary, and it's like, and people loved it. People loved that Coney documentary. Like, it was amazing. It was like an insane phenomenon. This viral documentary, short documentary about Coney, and it was mostly like really well received, but in the inevitable backlash against it, where people had some criticisms, it was like so much that it made this guy snap, and they like found him like naked in the streets or some shit, just like catatonic or something. He like lost his mind, like he cracked badly under that level of pressure. Now, of course, he wasn't expecting it to be such a success, and he never had that much just number of people sending that much emotion all focused on him. So that was a lot, and Logan Paul's a little bit used to the pressure of fame. So I think I don't think it's that bad, but it's like there is really, I mean, like, wouldn't it be ironic if all the hate made Logan Paul kill himself? What if Logan Paul is interested in the suicide forest because maybe under all of what we see as the joy and the happiness on YouTube, he actually feels like he just has a sense of meaningless and deep existential despair over some real sad shit in his life that we don't know about. And he's been doing amazingly well, the best he can despite it. And he's interested, and so he goes to this place because it's kind of something that's on his mind. And then you guys hate on him so hard he kills himself. Wouldn't that be ironic? It's like someone can't just share an experience they had. One of the most fucked up. I mean, just imagine the most fucked up thing that's happened to you in your life. And just imagine people telling you you're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to, you can't share this with anybody. You keep it to yourself. I don't think people should have to keep anything to themselves. I think if anybody wants to talk about anything that has actually happened to them, they should be able to. And I know you're saying, well, it's not something that happened to him. It's something he made a choice to do. It's something he did, and it was wrong. But again, and I'm gonna wrap this up right here. Again, I don't think he did anything wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with a boy throwing some football around with his friends in the woods, laughing with his friends in the woods. He has just as much a right to that forest as anybody else does.